All right. Here we go with our refined pages. The first question said that Erica has 7 square feet of space to plant carrots, beans, peppers, and lettuce. Suppose she gives each vegetable an equal amount of space. How much space will each vegetable get? So just as a review, we should be asking ourselves that question. What is being divided? What is being divided? Remember that whatever is being divided is your numerator. If you're having a hard time determining which one is being divided, then what you can do is you can look at the question. Whatever the question asks you is what's being divided. So this says how much space, which means you're dividing the space. Okay, so whatever the question asks you gives you a clue as to what's being divided as well. So we're dividing 7 square feet of space amongst 4 vegetables. There were carrots, beans, peppers, and lettuce. That's 4 vegetables. Please, if you are not writing the problems like this, I want you to write every problem down like this. This is the whole point of this test, is to know that 7 divided by 4 is 7/4. So if you did not write this down, you should be adding this. Please remember that in our final review, it's very important to pay attention to everything. We shouldn't be playing on our computers. And then what I did from there is it didn't tell you had to show a model, but I showed a model as well. So what I showed was I drew 7 rectangles to represent the 7 square feet of space. And then I divided each rectangle into fourths. And I labeled it C, B, P, L for the carrots, beans, peppers, and lettuce. And I saw that there were 7 carrots, and each carrot represented 1/4. So 7 times 1/4 is the same as 7 divided by 4. This is also important to understand. Okay, we talked about this a little bit more in detail yesterday. And so 7 divided by 4, since my numerator is greater than my denominator, I'm going to divide. Please remember, we also went over yesterday, it's always numerator divided by denominator, which is dividend divided by divisor. Your numerator is your dividend, your denominator is your divisor. Again, your numerator is your dividend, your denominator is your divisor. So 4 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. We subtract 7 minus 4, we get 3. So remember, what is our leftover, which is our remainder, is our numerator, and our divisor is our denominator. So we would say that each vegetable is getting 1 3/4 square feet. Any questions so far? All right, moving on to the back. For question 2, said that Dion needs to make 36 pizza crusts. He has 120 ounces of dough. And wants to use the same amount of dough for each crust. He weighs a portion of dough for 1 crust on a scale. The weight in ounces should fall between what 2 whole numbers? So before we can determine that, we have to know what's being divided here. Are we dividing crust to make pizza dough? Or are we dividing the dough to make the pizza crust? Anisha, what's being divided for number 2?
For number 2, 120 is being, 36 is being divided into 120.
Say that the right way. 120 is being divided by 36. Yeah, make sure we're getting our numerators and denominators correctly. For some reason, I am having people that know they have to divide 36 into 120, but they're writing it the wrong way. So some people are writing 36 over 120 and then dividing it. No. Please follow along and pay attention. This is 120 divided by 36, not 36 divided by 120. We are taking the dough and dividing the dough to make the pizza crust. The 120 has to be first, and it has to be your numerator. Please make sure that we're following along. I see some of us doing stuff on our computers. We need to be paying attention to the review. So because my numerator is greater than my denominator, I'm going to divide. $36 goes into 123 times. 3 times 36 was 108. When I subtracted 120 minus 108, there was a remainder of 12. So 3 and 12, 36, that can be reduced. But here's the important part. What two numbers does 3 and 12, 36 fall between? Well, you have 3 plus a little bit more. So that means that that is greater than 3, but not quite to 4 yet. So it would be between 3 and 4 ounces. Clara, you paying attention? So anytime you get a mixed number, and they ask you between what two whole numbers in it, it's always between the whole number that's there, which is 3, and then the next whole number up. Okay, it can't be less than 3 because you have 3 plus a little bit more. So it's always going to be between 3 and then the next whole number, which is 4. Or if you have 5 and 1/5, you have 5 plus a little bit more. So it's going to be between 5 and the next whole number, 6. I do have a question. What happens if you have a fraction like this? What happens if you have a fraction that does not have a whole number? It's not a mixed number, it's just a fraction. Between what two whole numbers is that fraction? Everybody should know. Good, Francesco. Good, Ryan. Whoa, good, Deegan. Getting some funky answers here. Yes, Lincoln. If you look at the fraction 3/8, if you look at the fraction 3/8, Deegan, explain to me your thoughts.
So I put 0 to 1 because there's 3/8. There's no one whole number, so that's what I got because the numerator isn't bigger than the denominator, so you can't make a whole number yet.
Absolutely. The number 3/8, guys, everything we have learned, fractions and decimals are all parts of numbers. Okay, they're not whole numbers. If I have 3/8 of something, I don't have the whole thing. I have less than the whole thing. So it's somewhere between 0 and 1. It's greater than 0, but it's not equal to 1 whole yet. So every fraction that does not have a mixed number, like Deegan said, it's not an improper fraction. You can't make it a mixed number. Since there's no whole number here, every single fraction is between 0 and 1 because you have a part of a whole. You do not have a whole yet. Does that make sense? We should know this about fractions and decimals now. They are parts of numbers. There's a question like this on your quiz. Gotta be paying attention. All right, question 3 threw people off, and here's why. They knew that we learned last week we don't cut people. I am not going to cut the students and give them to pond water. I'm going to divide the pond water and give it to students. So this problem is 21 divided by 10. But a lot of people skipped this step of writing what that looks like as a fraction. And they went straight to dividing. And they divided 10 into 21 and saw that it equaled 2 1/10. And then they didn't know what answer to pick over here. So a lot of people just went with C because it was the closest to 2 1/10. Wrong. This is why this is such an important step. And I've told you guys to write it as a division problem and a fraction. Because if you wrote 21 divided by 10 as a fraction, it looks like this. And so what they did is they just left the improper fraction as the answer and did not change it to a mixed number. But it's important to know that 21 tenths and 2 1/10 are the same thing. This is the improper fraction, this is the mixed number. But they are both the same thing, and so that's why D is correct. Okay. So Olivia chose A because she forgot that pond water is being divided among students, and she put the numerator and denominator in the wrong places. She divided the students by the pond water, and she cut the students. Wrong move. Questions? Okay, moving on to question 4. For question 4, it said Teddy makes 32 fluid ounces of hot cocoa. He pours equal amounts of cocoa into 5 cups. So this is dividing hot cocoa into cups, which is 32 divided by 5. If we write that as a fraction, it looks like 32 over 5. Well, 5 divides into 32 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. When we subtract, we have a remainder of 2, which becomes our numerator, and our divisor is our denominator. So she is going to be able to fill 6 2/5 into each cup. The question, though, is it will fall between which 2 whole numbers. So I have to know that 6 2/5 means I have a full 6 ounces and a little bit more. So some people, that automatically takes out 3 and 4. Some people want to say that 6 2/5 is between 5 and 6. That is not possible. If you have 6 plus a little bit more, that means you have more than 6. 5 is not more than 6. So it has to be between 6 and 7 because you have 6 and a little bit more. So like I told you, it is always the whole number that's there plus the whole number that is greater. So you would just round it up between 6 and 7. Question 5. Pierce swims 10 laps in a pool in 8 minutes. He spends the same amount of time on each lap. How much time does each lap take him? So I saw a lot of groups flipping the numerator and denominator. They divided 10 laps by 8 minutes, and that's not what you were supposed to do. You have to ask yourself the question, what's being divided? And what's being divided here is the time. And it tells you in the question. Remember I said if you're having a hard time determining what's being divided, look at the question. The question asks how much time. That means time is what's being divided. So whatever the question is always gives you a clue as to what your numerator should be. So look at the question. So if you got 1 2/8 or 10/8, then you flipped your numerator and denominator. This should have been 8 minutes divided by 10 laps, which is 8/10. Question 6 says Danny needs equal sections from a board that is 13 feet long. Okay, there is a question exactly like this on your test, identical. Just these two numbers will be switched. It'll be like 9 and 15 or something. The numbers will be different, but it's the same exact question. There's also a question just like number 4. Between what two whole numbers? So you have to understand that concept. So for question 6, again, you have to ask yourself what's being divided. Imagine there's a board that's 13 feet long and he's cutting every 8 sections. That's 13 feet divided by 8 sections, not 8 sections divided by 13 feet. Okay, so it's 13 feet divided by 8 sections, which looks like this, which looks like this, and this after you divide. So 13 divided by 8 is 13/8, which is why I have been asking you to write it the entire time in your math book. Dividend, divisor, dividend, divisor. Numerator, we have to know this. Numerator and denominator, I would be writing, is dividend over divisor. So the top number always goes in the house. So 1 5/8 is 13 divided by 8. That should be yes. It is not 8 divided by 13. That is no. It is 13/8. That is yes. It is not 8 divided by 13. That is no. And remember, with 13 divided by 8, remember we talked about yesterday, dividing by 8 is the same as multiplying it by 1/8, because 13 times 1/8 equals 13/8, which is equivalent to our division equation. So it's important to know that this is the same thing. So dividing by 6 is the same as multiplying by 1/6. Dividing by 9 is the same as multiplying by 1/9. Questions? Okay, some people are still writing, so I'll leave that there for just another second, and then we'll move on to the last 3. Okay, moving on to the last 3 problems. There is also a question like this on your test. Which situations can be represented by 25 divided by 9? So you are looking for division problems that represent 25 divided by 9. So A says, Melanie equally shares 25 yards of paper to make 9 banners. She has 25 yards divided by 9 to make the 9 banners, so A is correct. B says Quill gives away 9 baseball cards from a pack of 25. This is a subtraction problem. If you have 25 cards and you give 9 away, you are taking 9 away, which is a subtraction problem, not division. C, George invites 25 kids and, keyword is and, 9 adults to his birthday party. This is an addition problem. I'm surprised at how many people thought C was correct. If he's inviting 25 kids and 9 adults, that's an addition problem. D, Becca makes 9 rows with 25 buttons each. 9 rows with 25 buttons each, that is a multiplication problem. And some of you tried to tell me, well, it has the word each, and you said each means divide. Yes, but it depends on the problem. This is an array model. You're making 9 rows with 25 buttons in each. That's 25 times 9 rows. Okay, so you have to make sure that you pay attention to the problem. That should have been a multiplication problem. And then for E, Joe makes 9 equal servings from a 25-ounce bag of peanuts. So he has 25 ounces divided by 9 servings. So the two division are A and E. For question 8, Paco is trying to explain to his friend that 7 divided by 2 is 7 over 2. They want you to draw a model to show that. So what I drew here was 7 rectangles, and I divided each by 2. So what I have is I have 7 models times 1/2 each, which is 7 halves. No, Lincoln, not 7 twos. 7 halves, okay? Which is also 3 1/2. You can see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 halves, which is 3 1/2. So I drew a picture, and then I also drew it on a number line to show you as well. Since 7 halves, I numbered my number line from 0 to 7, and then I cut each number in half to show 7 halves. And so to explain it using words, 7 halves is equivalent to 7 divided by 2, which equals 3 1/2. So again, there is a model. I forget if it's a picture model or a number line on your quiz. It's one of the two. It may be picture. Make sure that you know how to represent that. So there is a question like this on your test as well, where you have to know what the picture or number line represents. So you've basically gotten all of your questions that are going to show up on your quiz. There's going to be a question like A, which involves a picture. There's going to be situations represented by word problems like number 7. There's going to be a chart like number 6. And there's going to be a between what two numbers question like number 4. Okay, so make sure that you really know how to solve those problems. For the math journal, they wanted you to come up with your own word problem. So who wants to share what they did to represent 12 divided by 5? Somebody share their word problem with me. Avery, go ahead. Turn your volume up. I can barely hear you.
Hayden had 12 pieces of ribbon that she had to use for 5 pillowcases.
Good, that works. 12 pieces of ribbon to use for 5 pillowcases. How much would each pillowcase get? That would be 12 divided by 5. Good. Annie, go ahead.
I said, Miss Clara has 5 students and 12 glue sticks. How many glue sticks does each student get?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, Miss Clara has 5 students and 12 glue sticks. How many glue sticks would each student get?
Good, great. So 5 students and 12 glue sticks. How many glue sticks would each student get? So that would be 12 glue sticks divided by 5 students. Very good. So one that somebody typed to me in the comments, I want to share and explain why it's not correct. Because it says 12 birds must share 5 ounces of bird seed. How much seed does each bird get? We don't cut birds like we don't cut people. So we're not going to cut the birds and give them to the bird seed. We're going to cut the bird seed and give them to the birds. So you would have to switch the numbers there. You would have to say 5 birds must share 12 ounces of bird seed, and then that would work. Does that make sense? Okay, very good. Anisha, go ahead.
I said there is 10 students in a book club and there is 12 books total. How many book would each kid get?
I think you have to change the 10 to 5 to make that work, and then it would work. So instead of 10 students in the book club, there were 5 students in the book club, and there were 12 books to share. How many would each student get? That would work. Very good. So just change that 10 to 5. Awesome job. Thank you for sharing. All right, what we're going to go ahead and do now is move on to the final review. Remember, the final review is identical to your quiz. Same exact type of questions, just different numbers. So it has been posted on Google Classroom. I will share that with you. Remember, what you should be doing is, if you want to print it, you can print it, or you need to just have a piece of paper out to take notes. Just write lesson 18 final review. So you can go ahead and open it here from Google Classroom. A lesson 18 final review. And I put that question up top there for you to remember to always ask yourself, what is being divided? What is being divided? So that's your key. All right, Noah, go ahead and read question 1 for me.
Sarah will use 7 cups of apples to make 4 batches of applesauce. Which expressions show the number of cups of apples in one batch? Decide if each expression is correct. Choose yes or no for each expression.
Thank you. So what we see here is this is just like number 6 that we did in the book. So I'll give you about 2 minutes to do this one. Ask yourself, what's being divided? Are we dividing the apples to make applesauce, or the applesauce to make apples? Once you know what's being divided, write it as a fraction too. And then check all of these to see if it equals yes or no. Give you about 2 minutes and then we'll have people share. Oops. There we go. So far, so good. Good Mason, good MK, good Ryan. About 1 more minute. Remember, you have to pick an answer for all of them. You can't skip them. So you have to either choose yes or no. Good, Jackson. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about these. Van, what are we dividing here? Are we dividing the apples to make applesauce or the applesauce to make apples?
We're dividing the apples to make applesauce.
Good, so we're dividing 7 cups of apples by 4 to make our batches of applesauce. So what we should see right away is that our first one's a yes, okay? So Jackson, is 7 divided by 4 the same as 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7?
No.
It is not. Do you know what that equals?
4/7.
That's right. And that's not what we did. We did 7 divided by 4, which looks like this as a fraction. So it looks like 7/4, not 4/7. Good. MK, how about 4/7? Is that the same as what we did here?
No.
Good, so we have yes, no, no. Now remember I talked about this earlier. Dividing by 4 should be the same as multiplying by 1/4. So would this equal our correct answer here? Jonathan, what do you think for the next one? Is 7 times 1/4 equal to 7/4?
Yeah, I think so.
It is. 7 times 1/4 is 7/4, so that would be yes. And does 7/4 equal 1 3/4? Landon, what do you think for the last one?
Yes.
Good. If we divide 4 into 7, it goes 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. We subtract, we have 3 as our remainder. That becomes our numerator, and divisors our denominator. So that would be a yes. Great job. So again, it'll be just like that on your quiz tomorrow, but these will be different numbers. So just make sure you ask yourself the question, what's being divided? Okay, here's the next question. That's just like number 7 that we did. So if you want to go back and look at number 7 we did on the refine. Remember there was a subtraction equation, addition, and multiplication equation in there. So read the following situations, choose all correct answers. Which of the following situations can be represented by 14/5, which means that's 14 divided by 5. So I'll give you about 2 minutes to read those and choose all correct answers. I'll give you a clue, there is 2. Good, Eric. About 1 more minute. You should be reading all of the, oh, looks like we're struggling with this one a bit. Most of you are getting one of them correct, but not the second. Read them carefully. So far, only 2 of you have gotten it, Lincoln and Eric. Read them carefully. Francesco, good. No. Good, Carter. Good, Jaslyn. More of you were thinking about it. No. Nope. Good, Chloe. All right, let's go ahead and look at them. Most of us, I told you there were two. Okay, there's two answers here. Most of us got A, which is one of them that's correct. Renee has 14 feet of ribbon that she will cut into 5 pieces of equal length. So that's 14 feet divided by 5 equal pieces. This is division. Okay. Most of us did not get the second one. So let's look at all of these. B, a lot of you thought B. Michael has 14 packs of trading cards with 5 cards in each pack. So imagine 14 packs of trading cards. Draw a picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 packs of trading cards. There's 5 in each pack. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. This is a multiplication problem. 14 packs with 5 in each pack is a multiplication problem. Okay. This is just like some of you thought on the review that D was correct. 9 rows with 25 buttons in each row is 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 9 times. That's a multiplication problem. Same with these trading cards. If you have 14 packs with 5 in each pack, that's 5, 10, 15, 20. That's a multiplication problem. So be careful. Just because you see each doesn't make it division. This is multiplication. C, Logan opens 5 bags of trail mix and pours them equally into 14 bowls. What's being divided here? Are you dividing the bowls into the bags or the bags into the bowls? Think about it. You're dividing the bags into the bowls. This would be 5 bags of trail mix divided into 14 bowls. So if you picked C, you flip the numerator and denominator. C would not be 14 divided by 5. It would be 5 bags divided by 14 bowls. So C, even though C is a division problem, it's not the correct division problem. Okay. D, nobody should have picked D. Patrick takes 5 oranges from a bag containing 14 oranges. Takes literally means take away. So this is a subtraction problem. D is a subtraction problem. Guys, any notes that I am taking, you should be taking as well. Some of you are just sitting there. Me working through this and telling you which problems, multiplication and subtraction, this is going to help you on your quiz. If it's a similar statement with similar wording, you're going to be able to look back at your notes and go, oh, Mrs. Foster said that's multiplication. So we should be taking those notes. We shouldn't just be circling the correct answers or not. Okay, we should be taking the notes. All right, E. Tim walks 14 blocks to the library and then walks another 5 blocks home. And another means addition. He walks 14 blocks and then 5 more is 14 blocks plus 5 more blocks. That would be 19 blocks total. That's an addition problem. So last we have F. Ariana makes 5 equal servings of lemonade from a bottle containing 14 ounces. So what's being divided? The lemonade. 14 ounces of lemonade divided into 5 equal servings. So we should have A and F. Please, if you have not done so, slow down and write what each one of these problems is. Your quiz is going to be very similar to this. So you need to know what is a multiplication problem, what is subtraction, what is addition. Write all of these down and to help you study. You have to know when you have words like and another that that's putting things together. You have to know when you see to take something is to take it away, which would be subtraction. So we have to be looking for keywords that let us know what type of problem it is. Any questions? Make sure that you're writing all of that down so you know what's addition, what's subtraction, why C is not correct because it was opposite. Noah, you have all of your notes? You have all of these written down? I've said about 5 times now, you should be writing everything that I'm writing. Good job, Mason. Noah, remember, if we want to do well on our quizzes, we have to be taking notes and make sure that we're paying attention. I will have this video also posted today, probably by lunchtime. So if you would like to go back and watch to review before the quiz tomorrow, it will be posted on my website. All right, let's go to question 3. So question 3, Ava pours 3 gallons of paint equally into 8 cans. How many gallons of paint will there be in each can? Show your work. So ask yourself, what is being divided? Give you about a minute. What's being divided? Are we dividing the gallons into the cans or the cans into the gallons? Good, Lincoln. Good, Avery. Yes, Francesco. Good, MK. All right, Chloe, what'd you get for this one?
I got 3 divided by 8.
Yeah, it says they're taking 3 gallons of paint and equally dividing it into 8 cans. So what's being divided is the gallons into the 8 cans. And remember how we write 3 divided by 8 is just like this. So it would just be 3/8 gallons. There's no division we're actually doing here because our numerator is smaller than our denominator. And if we wanted to show that, what we could do is we could have our 8 cans. And divide the 3 gallons of paint. So we're going to split each can into thirds. You know, and you could label them 1, 2, 3 to represent the 3 gallons. But what we see here is that we have 3 times 1/8, which gets us our 3/8. Okay. And that should help us here with question 4. So they give you a model, you have to be able to pick the problem that matches it. So what do we have here? I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds. What's each pound divided into? Read those statements and see which statement matches that model. Noah, I'm coming to you. So read those statements, which statement matches that model? Whoa. Whoa, lots of different answers here, guys. This one should be easy. Look at the model. Good, Kaylin. Good, Anisha. Good, Sukman. Good, Shannon. Good, Joel. Good, Carter. Good, Chloe. Oh. Okay, so let's look at this. Just looking at the model, how many pounds are there? Amanda, how many pounds are here?
7.
Yeah, there's 7 pounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just adding the pounds across the bottom. There's 7 pounds. I have people telling me the answer is B. There's no way B could even be close to being correct. He doesn't have 3 pounds. He has 7 pounds. So we can automatically take off B and C, because A and D are the only ones that shows that he has 7 pounds. So your first step when seeing this problem on your quiz is to add up the pounds across the bottom. And I think it's still pounds on your quiz. It's just a different amount. Add up the pounds and see what they're starting with total. And that automatically narrows out some choices here. So Noah, what is it? Is he dividing 7 pounds into 3 equal groups, or 7 pounds into groups of 1/7?
I think he is dividing 7 pounds by 3.
Yeah. And how do we know that? Well, we look at each pound and it's divided into thirds. So this problem is 7 pounds divided by 3. Okay, I'm not. So for part B, here's this problem like number 4 on our quiz. They want to know what it falls between, which 2 whole numbers. So you actually do the division. 7 divided by 3 looks like this, which looks like this. So after you divide, each pi will fall between which 2 whole numbers. Good, Eric. Good, Ryan. Good, Sukman. Good MK. Good Jackson. Good Francesco. All right, Francesco, what'd you get when you divided 3 into 7?
2 1/3.
Yeah, 3 goes into 2, or 3 goes into 7 2 times, and there's 1 left over. So that falls between which 2 numbers? Francesco?
Oh, 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Good. So it would fall between the numbers 2 and 3. So remember, if you have 2 and 1/3, you have 2, you have a little bit more than 2. Okay, so you're somewhere in between the whole numbers 2 and 3. You have a little bit more than 2, but not quite to 3 yet. So it's always the number that you have, the whole number quotient, and then the next number up. So that since 2 is there, it would fall between 2 and 3 pounds. All right, easy peasy. Don't log off yet. Joel, pay attention. Don't log off yet. Couple of reminders for tomorrow, Wednesday on Zoom. 3 tests. So you have spelling, vocab, and math. Okay, spelling, vocab, and math. Please remember your Wordly Wise is due by 8 a.m. when class starts. Some of you turn it in later and then you don't email me and tell me that you've turned it in late. So remember, if you turn in any assignments late, you have to email and let me know, because otherwise I don't know to go back in and grade it. So